Happy Friday, guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Dubs. I'm your host, Bill T. Another Friday, another great podcast for you guys. And today, I'm in the studio with George T, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a wrap-up podcast. But before we get into that, don't forget, if you want to get some of your loved ones a Christmas present, don't forget to go to letstalkdubs.com, click on the store, and pick out a cool sweatshirt for this winter. And if you pick out a cool sweatshirt and you purchase something from the store, you get a shot on the podcast. So that's a double bonus. It's almost like 2 for 1, right? So don't forget to support your favorite podcast as well as support those that support Let's Talk Dubs. Go to vwtrendsmagazine.com and subscribe today to VW Trends Magazine. Also, our guys at Ross Wolf. Go check them out today at Ross Wolf. We're going to be talking about them a little bit in the podcast coming up. But go to rosswolf.com and pick up some new stuff. They just came out with these new cool plug wires that look like vintage plug wires, but they're 7.7 millimeter high performance plug wires and look like a throwback woven set of plug wires. So check them out. Go to rosswolf.com today. So on today's podcast, we're going to discuss a lot of different things. We're going to look back at this year in review, as well as discuss a letter that I received for someone's feedback on the One Crazy Weekend. So, and the way that we do it here, there's no holds barred, and I'll let you guys know everything that's going on. So we'll be discussing that on the podcast, as well as project status on different things and plenty of other things. So be ready for it, because it's happening. It's about that time. We're getting ready to start the round table on Let's Talk Dubs.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen. It's got everything that people who like the bug like.
George T.
Bill T.
What up?
Living the dream, brother. Living the dream.
That's it, man. That's the fire you bring today. All right. Well, welcome to the podcast today, everybody. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff. Excuse me. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff today. A lot of reviews, a lot of discussions about several things, and maybe even touch on some user emails or some listener emails, and we'll go through some of that stuff. So, but most importantly today, we're going to kind of review this year, what took place this year, some of our things that we enjoyed. We're going to talk about the power tour that I just recently did. Lots of stuff to discuss in this podcast.
We'll start with that power tour since it's fresh.
Yeah,
and you
so
just posted
don't
about it.
run away there. I know there's one guy that sent me a thing. He says, I hate the round tables.
Take it easy,
what
man.
happens is when George and I get a little back and forth, and you can tell that we've got difference of opinions on something, this guy didn't appreciate it. And he's probably because he's pro Bill and
He's a
didn't
very
like
pro Bill guy. And
didn't like somebody jumping on Bill a little bit, but it's okay. That's what brothers do, and we're and I'm okay with it. So stick around. Trust me, you'll
what's
enjoy.
funny is I hear about 95% the opposite.
You'll
Like,
enjoy
I
the
love it
round
when you
table.
and Bill aren't together.
Well,
That's
yeah,
what I hear all the time.
I hear a lot. I hear a
so
lot.
whoever
of people.
that guy was, sorry, buddy.
But hey, hang on. You'll want to listen to this podcast. It's pretty good. But we're going to kick it off talking about the power tour. So earlier, a couple episodes ago, we ended up a couple episodes ago, we talked to AJ Sims and Anton Walker, and they did the Sick Week with them, which is done by Sick the Magazine. I'm sorry. Sick the Magazine does Sick Week. They do all kinds of Sick this, Sick that. They did Death Week, which was like 5 or 6 tracks in 6 or 7 days. And the way that they do it is much different than the Power Tour. And I'll kind of discuss the differences between the two. And I was a little bit envious of that. And then I thought, man, I really would love to do something like that. So I could see, because this whole thing, part of what I do, what we've tried to create with, and my vision behind the One Crazy Weekend was like a interactive in your car type of event. Like try to capture that vibe that we had on Bull Run, which like Bull Run is hugely,
a very small taste of it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hugely unrealistic for most people to disappear for a week or so and do something like that.
Or 24 days.
Yeah. And even like the Power Tour and stuff like that. So the Power Tour that came up, I saw it coming up and somebody had told me about it. They said, yeah, Power Tour West is going to be the first time they're doing it in 20 years. And for those of you guys that don't know, the Power Tour is it is not the same as Sick Week and Drag Week and stuff like that. It is distinctly different, and what makes it different is it's less about the racing and more about the car show. It's like a rolling car show type thing. So, which is kind of cool. And I'll give you my impressions on it because obviously, you know, I had a few different cars I could pick to take on it. I even had a V8 I could have taken on it because I have the curse of the Riviera that sits in my driveway now, freshly on airbags. And just as I thought it's all dialed in, I looked underneath it and there's a little bit of water from the radiator. So I'm super stoked about that. The curse continues. So, I decided to take the double cab because I thought, what would be, I'm sure there have been people that have been on it and bugs and stuff like that. And as a matter of fact, Alex Taylor, the girl that is on that Hot Rod Garage, I think, with Lucky Acosta, the girl, she's a drag racer.
Mm-hmm.
She pulled up at Irwindale in a bug, which I thought was super cool. And I thought, you know what? I thought like, oh yeah, she's cool car chick, whatever, like typical TV cool car chick. Then I thought to myself, if she drives a Volkswagen, she's a whole nother level.
She's got to be a little bit cooler.
She's a, no, but like, hear me out. She's a whole nother level of cool car chick. Why? Because if you're down enough to drive a Volkswagen, I know a lot of people that are car people that they can't get in a car without a clutch and drive it. You know what I mean? Like a broken clutch cable, they don't know how to drive it. They're not used to that program. And if you're a Volkswagen enthusiast, that's going to happen to you and you're going to need to learn how to drive. And I thought, well, if she drives a Volkswagen, she can figure out how to shift any car because good luck with that with most old Volkswagens. And then just the fact that she came cruising, and it was a pretty ratty kind of busted up bug. That's for sure a project car, but I was much respect for her when I saw her cruising in an old, it had an early 60s bug, like 62, 63. I'm not sure. I was going to chat with her a little bit, but everybody fanboys around her stuff. And so I was just like, yeah, no big deal. So with Power Tour, you know, my friend told me about it, and so when I started thinking about it, I think it may even have been AJ told me about it. He says, yeah, they're going to be doing a Power Tour West. And I thought, that'd be cool. Where's it going? He goes, it's super short this year. He says it's Irwindale. So it was Irwindale, Vegas to Pomona. And then I was talking to a buddy of mine and my buddy Adam Wick, and he's like, dude, I would drag race Pomona just to say I drag race Pomona, because there's even guys that, unless you're in some kind of NHRA finals, usually you're not going to run Pomona, because I'm assuming because the city congestion, all that stuff, there's very few races they do at Pomona. And when they do the races, they're usually like, it's in a series, whatever. They don't do like a test and tune Friday night or stuff like that. I don't think so. So they just said it's a really, not all drag racers get to race at Pomona. So if you get a chance to do it, do it. So
it's a bucket list kind of thing.
Correct. So I thought, yeah, that'd be cool, man. And you know what? I'm like, I was a little nervous to take the bug, and then it not the bug, but the double cab. And then it was like, I started going back and forth. I thought, okay, I'll take Friday off. We'll drive down there. And then I thought, I'm going to drive down there, and Sunday I got to drive there, drive back. And I'm like, I'm all down to drive the bus, but driving the bus 20 hours in 2.5 days it's a lot of driving. The bus is not, if it was my bug, different story. My Ghia, different story. They're comfortable. You can drive them. Buses, not as comfortable as a sedan. Right. So I was like, I thought, well, the first thing I'm going to put the bus in the trailer. I'm going to take the trailer down and drop it off. Because that's why I put on my Facebook. I said, anybody near Pomona where I could store a truck and trailer. And I was going to drive it down. And then I thought, you know what, dude, screw it. I'm going to drive it. So last minute I changed and I said,
Good choice.
I'm just going to drive the bus down. Drove the bus down, and you can see the videos on my YouTube channel. And by top of Baker Grade, it's like 30 at Mountain Pass. It's like 30 some degrees. I mean, I'm blowing steam out of my mouth. It's so freaking cold. The bus ran like that's the same motor that we did Bull Run in.
Yeah, that's the Bull Run
2270 Jake Raby Type 4 that has never had the heads off. And
it's had valve adjust. I think I've done the valves twice or maybe 3 times on the car, and they were
because
never out.
Because I don't do no valves.
Well, they were never out. It's
right.
like you check them, like they're solid.
Yeah, and so that car, I mean, that motor's just been bulletproof. It's caught on fire. I've drag raced it. I mean, I've done
it all.
We did Bull Run in it. We did everything.
It's been on a motocross track.
Other than it puffing a little bit of smoke on startup, which could be worn valve, stuff like that. Worn valve guys.
It's a 20+ years of hard life, of Bill T life.
It's been lovingly cared for. And so that motor's in there. So it's not the same, but just past couple weeks, I kind of got a wild hair, and I started tightening up little things on the bus. Not all the things you'll hear in the story, but I got the throttle pedal dialed in. I knew I was getting less than full throttle. Come to find out I was getting quarter throttle. Then once I got full throttle, now with that 2270, I was like, because I switched from my 2600, put the 2270 there because the 2600 had to come out because the flywheel started to wobble on it. And so I'm getting that redone right now. Put the 2270 in there. I was like, man, this thing's a real dog on power, but I was only getting about a quarter throttle. So now I got full throttle. The thing is up at him. It's bombing down the road. And in that car, I ran in my bus at the track. I ran in my bus, full stereo, speakers, everything, 150-pound speaker box, all that stuff. In the Bull Run bus, quarter mile, I ran a 1610 in that bus. And then I thought, well, the double cab's a little lighter. I wonder what I'll run on that thing. Anyway, so I decide I'm cruising that dude down there. So that thing is a champ. Goes down there, no big deal. We leave Friday morning. It starts Friday at 9 a.m. at Irwindale. And Irwindale's only 8th mile track. And I thought, maybe I'll do that. And then I get there and I forget that I took the battery strap out for some reason, right?
The custom-made battery strap I made?
Yeah. So I took the battery strap out. And during tech, I didn't have a helmet. And I was like, well, I don't really, because you know me, I'm going to send it.
Why do you have to have a helmet?
It's just what they do. Like you have to have a helmet to run. But technically, if you talk to the tech guy, if your car's not going to run faster than 750s in the 8th or 850s, you don't need a helmet. But at any rate, it was a requirement through the Hot Rod magazine and all that stuff. And so the cost to enter, because I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, the cost to enter was $200. There was 2 options, right? My wife was coming with me, and they had the regular and then the VIP package. And listen, when you take your wife with you, maybe you're going to go with the VIP package. And I thought I should go with the VIP package. And it was $200 for regular package, $1,000 for the VIP package. And I thought, what does this $1,000 get me? The $1,000 got you some extra gifts and different goodie bags, and it got you lunch at the track each day. And I thought, we're not doing the $1,000.
I mean, concession stands are expensive, but not $1,000.
Oh, and you got VIP parking, so you parked in a special VIP lot up front next to the track.
40 yards from where we were parked, by the way.
Right. And so there's some other stuff. And so I didn't pay for that. My wife she said, I looked it up online. It does not sound fun, because she realized like it was just going to be driving.
Yeah.
And so we get to the track, hanging out, my buddy Brent and I, the bus, I get kind of parked behind this big, like a literal bus, like a 50s bus. It's on a diesel chassis. And I'm kind of by the end of the line. I'm not in the middle. I'm not my main walk space. So the bus is getting attention by everybody that walks by it, but not what I was hoping for, which is like, that's the reason I brought it, to get some attention. So a lot of people, because it's really cool. It's unique. It's something completely different to be out there. And so, but it was getting some pretty good. I mean, everybody saw it, was loving it. And, so we're there. I mean, the drag racing, it's not like Sick Week. Sick Week and Drag Week have freaking fast cars that these guys modify them to long haul with. So it's a lot of dudes with El Caminos and Chevelles and all that stuff. And they're out there
16-second runs.
And they're out there doing their 15, 16-second quarter miles, which what irritated me about that is the bus would have been competitive.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It would have looked good fighting down the road against these V8 guys. But, and then part of me was like, I know what happens when I get behind the line on that car. I'm freaking sending it. And I don't want to slip. I don't want to launch the clutch, or I knew there could be trouble if I go to race that thing. Cause you know me, I'm got a little bit of it in me, a little bit, bro. So didn't want any of that. So I was kind of relieved.
You didn't pass tech. So
I didn't even bother teching.
Yeah.
I didn't I grabbed a tech card.
Bother.
Well,
you told me they wouldn't let you in because of battery strap.
No. Because I had the tech list, and it's like battery strap, hold on. The first thing you do is go to your battery and move it. And my battery would just be like, ding, ding, ding,
He's
ding.
got a floater, guys.
So my buddy Brent in his Chevy truck, we went down, and he was going to run his Chevy truck. So I said, all right, well, we'll go. And then I went with him to tech, and I grabbed an extra tech card. I looked at it. First thing it says battery strap. And I was like, yeah, okay, never mind. And so I don't know. I was kind of because I was real nervous. Like I didn't want to beat it up and then try to drive another couple hundred miles the next day. So we hang out the track. He makes a couple passes.
What did Brent run in the 8th mile?
He ran an 11 something the first time and a 10 something the second time, which comes out to about a 16-second quarter mile. So I would have been right there with him in the double cab, which is really what bummed me out, because I would have loved to see a picture of both of us racing.
Yeah, for sure.
Because as we were coming down, the double cab is geared so high, and he's got a 700 R4 in that car, which is a 4-speed transmission, not like a turbo 400 or turbo 300, which is a 3-speed. This is a 4-speed, right?
Comes to overdrive.
Correct. And he was like, how fast are you going? I'm like, I'm doing 75 GPS and 75 in the double cab. With the trans that I have in there, it's right at about 3,100, 3,200 RPM. And he's like, my speedo says 90. I'm like, yeah, we're not doing 90. Because my buddy's a little more conservative, so he's kind of holding back on it. So, and then I'm getting self-conscious because I'm worried that I'm going fast as he wants to go. But, I get on the freeway and I'm like, I just want to get there. So we make it there, hanging out, and it's a couple hours, and it's starting to get typical. It's like, it's hot, it's asphalt. I've already seen the couple cool things there are. I mean, there's 10 really cool things to see. There's one guy that had this, and it was like a really old, some type of bus, but it wasn't a traditional looking bus. It was real squared, like an international, real squared. And it said Insane Asylum on the side, and it was slammed on a dually chassis with a Cummins 12 valve in it. And that freaking thing was rad, dude. And I was talking to the guy, and it's airbagged, and it's got the big steelies on it. And I talked to this guy, and he said, yeah, it's 650 horsepower. He says, we got a ticket coming through Ohio at 140 miles an hour. Freaking school. And this thing was dope, dude. Like, it was full on. Like, it was cool. It was super cool. And so there was a variety of cars there, right? There was a guy with an early 911 that had like NACA quarter windows in it. And it said the license plates, black California plate said Luft 911. And, he kind of passed me on the way back the next day, which I'll get to in a minute. But so that guy was in the VIP section. There's a GT3 in the VIP section. There was a bunch of nice cars in the VIP section. And I saw what they were getting for lunch, and it was a boxed lunch, Jimmy John's. And I thought,
bro, I saw it too.
I say to myself, $800.
Yeah.
But they did give him like a waterproof portable speaker. When they checked in, like, here's your thing. And I think everywhere you went, you got like some special gift. And it's probably a $150 speaker. I don't know. Either way.
Big JBL,
bro, I like, look, I like a free speaker. So
nothing free about when you spend $1,000.
Correct. Well, you did get a Jimmy John's box lunch, bro.
Yeah.
So
it didn't look much better than concession stand food.
It didn't. So we're hanging out for a little bit. And then earlier that week, I joined up the Facebook page, and someone said, hey, if you guys are out here, you might want to come out to Burbank to Bob's Big Boy, because they do a car meet every Friday night. So I told Brent, he's my buddy, he's a car guy. He's like, dude, do you want to go out to Burbank and just go check out this Bob's Big Boy? I've never been to this thing, and it's supposed to be super cool. It's just like, it's like a Cars and Coffee, but it's a Friday night. And it's like your typicals, right?
And it's like an original Bob's Big Boy?
It's the oldest Bob's Big Boy. And so we drive out so it's like 3:30, and I'm like, yeah, bro, this is kind of boring. Like it's Irwindale. I did everything I want to do. I looked at the midway, the little midway area where they had all the vendors and stuff was probably like,
it was pretty weak sauce.
It was about 8 vendors, 8 or 9 vendors. Nothing great. And so I was hoping to see a little bit more, with it being Motor Trend magazine. That's what my expectation was, right? Yeah. Exactly. So check that out. And then we decided to hop in our cars and head to Burbank on Friday at 3:00. So it wasn't crazy traffic. We were going really going the opposite way of traffic. So we went west on the 210, hit the Bob's Big Boy at about 3:45. So we left at about 3:00. It's about a 45-minute drive. So got there about 3:45, and at 10 to 4, they open up the covered spaces where you can park there and park your car. Like, there's this whole rule that they had. Because I pull up, and there's like a couple guys waiting, and there's empty parking spaces, and I'm like, hey, what are we doing here? And like, you're waiting like the rest of us. Typical old guy that's like the old codger. And so there's a parking space like in the back. So I just wheel around back and just back into a spot. Like, I don't need front row, So we're hanging out. We park, get to chat with some people. We go in, grab a bite, come outside, and the place fills up pretty good. Lots of cool stuff there. One of the cool things that we saw was there's a guy there that had an original. If you look on the video, there's a gold Shelby Cobra, and it's an original 427 Cobra. One of the only ones known to exist that's that particular, like 427 actual race model that you would buy for club racing or whatever. And he turned down $3 million for the car. And it's ratty, bro. Like, it's like the Hildebrands, the magnesium wheels, they're all pitted like
magnesium.
But he drives it. He's got like 4 or 5 of them, and it's just cool talking to him and his ex-wife, which she made clear to me several times that she was his ex-wife. I'm not saying she was trying to pick me up, but I didn't have my wedding ring on, bro. I mean, she is a little older, but hey, but no, she was a nice older lady, and we were just talking back and forth about some stuff, and There's another really cool car there. There's this guy that was into these Ford headlight Mustangs, right? So they're like the early, like up to 86, I think, up to 86 or 87.
Mm-hmm.
The
wide body Foxes you showed the
so
picture
yeah,
of.
this dude had this wide body Fox. And it's called an M81 is what it's called. Because when he said the model, he said there's like a Facebook group for it, M81, and it was a factory package that you would buy. And it was typically on the 4-cylinder turbo SVO Mustangs where they would do a wide body conversion on them. And there were some made at the factory. They were actually made by McLaren, which I thought was the same McLaren that was for the later model 2-seat Mustang Roadsters.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just a name purchase by a company to use the McLaren name on those other ones. So at any rate, this guy schooled me about a bunch of stuff. And then I found out the Celine that I had that I sold about 2 years ago. I sold for 17. The guy sold it for 30. Today it's worth about 50. So that's how I do it, baby. You guys want some investment advice? You come see me. I sell just before they hit. Before they hit, that's when I let them go. So I'm gonna when I sell the Riv will be worth a double 2 weeks later after I've held on to it since 1996. So we go to Bob's Big Boy, hang out there for a little bit, and then run into some guys from the SVR Club, which is the Strada Von Rose, which is the Street of Roses Club in South Pasadena.
Mm-hmm.
And so they invite
VW
us.
Club?
Yeah, VW Club. So like, hey, there's a bunch of guys going to come through here at 7. So if you want, cruise through here, and then we're all
Coming
going
to
to
the
go.
same Bob's Big Boy?
Coming to the same Bob's Big Boy, guys from Burbank, and then they're going to cruise back down to Pasadena. And I said, well, that's perfect. That's on our way back to Irwindale because I got us from in Irwindale. And so, or Baldwin Park, which is right on the corner. So these guys, they had a little change of plans. And then one guy pops in and he says, hey, I'm headed that way if you guys want to follow. So Brett and I follow him. So we hang out with those guys. They're all super cool. Shout out to those guys, the Pasadena, the Strauss Von Rosa Club. Shout out to those dudes. They were super cool. They meet up at a Del Taco down there in Pasadena on, I don't know if it's Colorado Boulevard, but they said they were going to cruise Colorado Boulevard. But we got there, hung out for probably about 45 minutes or so. And then Brent and I were just like, let's just head back. So that trip.
Yeah, because you guys' day started at 5 a.m. or 4
Correct,
a.m.
4, yeah. So now it's like 9 o'clock. We head back to Baldwin Park to our hotel, crash out. And the plan then is everybody's meeting up at the track at Irwindale at 7 a.m. to drive to Vegas. So we get there at 7 a.m. and I wanted to stop at a 7-Eleven or something before we got there. And I said, do you want to stop at a convenience store or just pull off on the way? He's like, we'll just pull off on the way. So we kind of get there, line up. We're like car number 40 in a row. Then a whole bunch more cars come. So there's probably 150 cars, 3 rows lined up all the way back that you'll see in my video. And there's no one there from Hot Rod Magazine.
There's no representation of anybody in charge.
There's no one there from Motor Trend. So everybody's like, well, what are we doing? Are we waiting for somebody or whatever? And then they just decide, okay, it's like 7:30. We're just going to leave. So there's plenty of cars there and they just get on the road. So coming to Vegas from Irwindale, you hop on the 605 and you head east to the 210 and then take the 210 to the 15. The route, I didn't ask anybody for the route because I assumed the route was going to be that. But I think the route was something different because everybody's pulling out. And as you pull out of Irwindale, we're pulling out of the entrance that's close to the free on-ramp. So it's like you pull out, immediate right, and then you're now going west on the 605, away from the 210. And all I can think in my head, because now I'm car 40 in a line of just bumper to bumper, like cars just hitting the freeway, and I'm thinking, some freaking dude probably forgot something at his house and just hopped on the freeway this way, and everybody just followed like lemmings right behind him. And so I'm like, I talked to Brent, and I'm like, hey, dude, we're going to get off on this X exit and just flip around because I don't know where everybody's going here, but I still need to stop, get a drink, whatever, and get snacks for the road, right? Mm-hmm. So I just flip around, and I'm like, I don't even understand where they would, like, in my head, I'm thinking, are they going back to like the 10 and then the 10 to the 15? Like, it doesn't make any sense why they would do that, but whatever. So we just head back, pull off, get our snacks, whatever, and then get back on the 210 and just take it straight to the 15. By the time we get to the 15, all those same cars there. Now, I was just kind of like, I didn't understand the whole gerrymandering over to that area. But so now we're caught up with so now as we merge onto the 15, I'm seeing hot rods, not some of the same exact cars, but cars. Cause remember there's a couple hundred cars. So now we're running. There's a group of Mopars that I'm with, and I'm just cruising, and bro, coming up the Cajon Pass, there's this driving your bus is not a big deal. When you get a strong crosswind, it sucks, especially going up a grade with a strong crosswind. And I've got that aluminum steel, that aluminum steering wheel that's got it's a Joe's Racing wheel. Like it's not, but I got gloves on because it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
And so now this is how much it's blowing. So the Bull Run bus motor we established is a little bit old. There's a little bit of blow-by on it. Well, that blow-by drizzles down the oil fill, which then driving, it drips it onto the exhaust, right? So you get a little bit of burn, but it's all behind you. I'm coming up that hill. That crosswind is coming up so hard. It is blowing all the air into my heater ducts, which are open in the back. And all of a sudden, the cab of the car has just got this, like if you go smell my double cab now, it smells like engine inside it. That's how hard the wind was blowing, which I've never had that experience before. It was so bad. When I got back, first thing I did is I went and bought freeze plugs, and I just put freeze plugs in there, and it's done. Like I'm never dealing with that again because it was aggravating and frustrating, and I'm just like, this is unbelievable, dude. Like this thing is just. So I'm a little irritated, and it's a sucky drive, man. That drive from I don't care what anybody says. I love to drive my bus. I hate to drive from here to California because it is a sucky drive. Here to Salt Lake, 200 miles longer. It's a great drive. The drive from here to LA sucks. You've got impatient drivers. You've got California drivers. You've got the roads are all blown out.
Yeah. As soon as you pass that state line, the roads deteriorate 4 or 5 levels. That's horrible. It's pure. And in a lowered car, it's like you're bouncing all over the place.
No, it's terrible. So, but either way, I'm getting into. I'm having fun, and our first stop's like 80 miles away. It's Eddie's World, right? That big snow cone thing off the side of the road. So we head over there. Get there. It's super cool. There's 200 cars at Eddie's World, and the place is just crawling with cars. People are trying to drive through to get their their poker chip, and there's a huge line at the poker chip. And so I'm just kind of like, this is cool. We'll hang out here for a few minutes and kind of take this in. So I'm not really sure how much fuel I used at this point, and we filled up the night before, filled up just outside of South Pasadena. Probably drove 10 miles to the hotel, and then from the hotel on the way to Irvine to Irwindale, and then on the freeway to where we're at, like 80 miles away. You want to know what my mileage was? 10. Yeah. Driving down there, I was getting 19. Yeah. Driving back up with that wind, I took 8 gallons of fuel at Eddie's World, which was like at 80 miles. And so it's pretty surprised. I think
the grade is more severe coming back. Also coming back
to
Vegas.
I mean, coming up Cajon Pass. This is just the only grade I hit was Cajon Pass. Mm-hmm. So
it's a big sweeper.
I get
it's a
fuel.
Big sweeper with a curve. It eats up a lot of fuel.
So we get fuel, shoot some video, and then and it's cool because as I'm down there, there's probably 10 YouTubers that are down there, right? So Flying Sparks Garage is down there, the one with that chick Emily and her husband. They work on all kinds of cars. She's cute, and she was like a model, and she is tall. She's like 5'10", almost 6 foot. She's there. Lucky Acosta's there. He's doing the drive.
We saw.
There's who else? There was that Buddy Garage. So that guy's there too. So he built a dually, and he's in Florida. So he built this dually. He's got a cool YouTube channel. It's called Buddy, and built this super cool dually. Did the Power Tour East, and then did the Power Tour West. Came out, drove all the way out to do the Power Tour West. And so he had some thoughts on it, which was interesting because I was watching his video, and one of the things that was surprising to me for the $200, it's kind of a badge of honor to get the window decal. Mm-hmm. It wasn't included in the $200. Mm-mm. And I'm watching his video. He says it's really weird. It doesn't come with the window decal because on the East Coast they did a window decal. Yeah. Like when you enter, you get the window decal. So you had to buy it. So I bought a window decal, and mine was a blem because one of the holes in the P wasn't cut out on the Power Tour. So I got a 1 of 1. And so I just thought that it just added to the element of like, this doesn't seem. And then when I got there, I make poker chips for our show here. I go through a poker chip supply company that makes
like real
manufactures clay poker chips.
They feel just like
our poker chips are legit.
Like a casino chip.
I'm getting a Hot Rod, Motor Trend, Poker Tour,
Power Tour
chip. And Brent's in,
plastic.
Brent's in line, and I get it, and it's like plastic, and I'm like, that's a bummer because this is kind of chintzy, you know. It's like
and they're not very expensive to make.
Yeah, well,
because we gave out wagon. You made me a box of wagon once.
Mine,
and I gave 'em at the poker
mine
run.
cost $1 a piece.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it was that was another thing that was kind of surprising to me. You know what I mean?
I understand for one reason, just because I did come to the Vegas location with you guys. The tracks are expensive. This like to lease the space for all that, they probably had $20,000 in that day just to be at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, I'd assume. So if you had 100 cars paying $200, they're barely making it because they have to do 4 or 5 tracks, or I'm sorry, 2 tracks. Irwindale.
No, I'm saying there's 200 cars that did the drive times $200.
Mm-hmm.
That's $40,000. I'm sure that they get sponsorship, but I'm sure that they get sponsorship money, right? And I'm sure they get, and there's probably
100.
There's probably 50 or 60 VIPs, so probably another. So $100,000 they took for entry fee.
They spent that easily on tracks.
Maybe, but they've got sponsors and stuff.
Stickers are expensive.
Yeah, they were $12. The window decal was
$15 because I was with Brent when he bought his.
Oh yeah,
and he didn't know you had bought him one.
Yeah,
it was $15 for that window decal, and it's a freaking vinyl cut sticker.
Yeah,
that says.
And the ones for East Coast had like all the tracks you stopped at on them. This just says Hot Rod Power Tour West.
Power Tour West 2023.
2023, and from my understanding, it was kind of a last minute thing put together.
It felt very last minute. And
when I picked you up on the way, so I'm calling George into town, and we're just having fun, running with these cars, and I'm surprising a lot of people are really surprised. And when we got to the gas station, we linked up with AJ Sims.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're kind of texting back and forth as we're driving, and he's got his 2 sons with him. And it's basically us 3 going together, and then we're passing, and cars are passing us. And it's cool because there's kind of a hot rod vibe, but it's on the freeway at 70 miles an hour. So it's not like, and when I've seen videos of hot rod, the power tour East Coast, it's like 2-lane highways through little towns. People are set up on the side of the road with signs and all that stuff, do a burnout, whatever. Like, cause it's little towns. And the one guy was saying like, dude, this is the middle of the week and there's people like lots of people lined up cause they know the power tour is coming through. And it's just different on the freeway. And it's
also a horrible drive they chose.
Yeah. And to do the same drive, that's the other problem. To do the same drive twice is kind of lame, right? So we get here to Vegas and now I'm beat, dude. I'm getting a little bit of a sore throat. I'm getting a little tired because the day before we kind of pushed it up late, a lot of drive, and that driving just beats you up, man. And especially in the bus, dude, it's not comfortable, dude. It's just not. It's not the same as driving like a new car or a seat that reclines or whatever. And so I pull into town and I call you. I'm like, hey, you want to go? Because I've got an extra credential. Since my wife didn't go, I have her credentials, and you'll just get in the track with me for free, and might as well save yourself that and just come check it out. So I pick you up, and then what's your impression when we get...
That was weak sauce.
I mean, getting in the track was a whole ordeal.
It reminded me of hot rod shows. Like V8 shows are just, I'm sorry, they're weak sauce. I have never been into a V8 show. I was like, this is awesome. I don't know. Yeah. It's that same mentality, that same just played out. Played out. And all it was we parked at the parking lot of the track, and the vendor row was 6 vendors, maybe. Yeah. I think I'm being generous when I say 6 because one of them was the hot rod merch booth. The thing where you get the merch. And I was like, this is it. This is the hot rod. Like you, I had expectations of Hot Rod Magazine,
right?
Motor Trend Magazine. You're gonna have some heavy hitters out there. Yeah, nobody.
And that was the thing too. Like, other than the YouTubers who were not part, because I talked to a couple of YouTubers, and they all paid their way to go. Yeah. None of them were sponsored. No one got
juiced in.
The people they
didn't juice me in, and I'm a YouTuber.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And there was no people from, other than Lucky Acosta, who drove that
Chevelle,
turbo Chevelle, or
we got on the freeway and he was right there with us.
Yeah, and he was down here, and he I don't think he was scheduled to be here for a signing or anything like that. But they had meet some of the people from Motor Trend TV or whatever, and some people are into that. And so we showed up. I don't know what the 1-day cost was to get into the show, maybe $30-$40.
So they probably made some money off that.
Yeah, because there was
to help
probably
offset the cost.
there had to be probably 400 cars there, 400 or 500 cars there.
So I would say if you, I'm going to take what I said back. If you actually were drag racing your car, because they also had an autocross course set up where you could autocross your car. So if you had a good, solid power touring car, or at least decent suspension and brakes and some good power,
Right.
you could have autocrossed your car as well. Like you probably, if you could have passed tech, you would have been able to autocross the bus.
Oh, that'd have been terrible.
If you, I'm just saying, you could have.
Right.
So like you paid the $200 to enter it, and had you have actually utilized it, meaning got your car ready and made sure it would pass tech, and you can hit the drag strip and you can hit the autocross, it probably would have been a lot more.
No, it'd have been
a lot more fun of an event.
It would have been. It
but
would
as
have
a
been.
spectator is what I went as a spectator.
Right.
Bro, it was weak
And if
sauce.
you're, and that's the thing. If
it was
you're
like a test and tune.
correct.
I
And
mean,
if-
it was weak.
if you're not going to race your car, then, it's a little less engaging.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, it's funny because I'm on the forums, and some guy on the forums like, there should be an award for cars that are pre-75
awards.
that run every track, and whoever runs and somebody's like, and I thought to myself, why don't you just say, I would have liked to receive an award for this particular thing? Because it's like, he's like, these cars with original drivetrains and blah 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 versus these LS cars. Again, this is just a guy finding a way, like,
It's
why
his
is he not
old
getting
man
noticed?
V8, exactly. Why don't
And
anybody
so-
see me?
But it's funny, and it's, everybody kept saying the Power Tour is not about racing. The Power Tour is a rolling car show, is kind of what it is. It's not about racing. I mean, people have fast cars or whatever, but it's not like, you can race if you want to. And someone said that the reason they shut the track down is because people. I've been reading on the
Shut
forums
what track down?
that the track shut down at 5 on Saturdays because people stopped coming up to race. The track was prepped crappy. They said the track was prepped crappy at Irwindale or whatever too. I mean, I know at one point there was one lane shut down, and just people were complaining a little bit about that stuff. And then the same thing I was hearing about Pomona as well. The tracks weren't prepped right. They're like, I didn't know this was gonna be a no prep thing, and I don't know what people's deals are, but I think in hindsight, to do it next time and have a lot more fun doing it, step one is get a group of friends to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like me and my buddy, just him solo in his car, me solo in my car. And the other big negative was there was no like, hey, if you're going to Irwindale, these are 2 hotels that we have.
Here's our host
negotiated.
hotels.
We negotiate special roommates, or it's the one we tell you to stay at so that you can hang out with other hot rodders.
Not everybody's one crazy weekend, bro.
But you know what I mean? Like, but even when you have, that's what makes the event when you're connecting people. Because I met a lot of cool people.
No, but from what you were saying when you guys met at Irwindale in the morning, there was no representation from Motor Trends or Hot Rod to setting everybody off. It was just like people were in line waiting for somebody to come up and say, "Hey, all right, guys, let's go," and
'Cause
then chicks
all-
waving
you gotta
flags
remember,
or something like that, or
all
nothing.
the Motor Trend people have to go set up at the track before everybody shows up by 9 o'clock the next day.
Yeah,
So that's why I don't think there's anything organized to happen at night.
but it would have been pretty
No,
smart
I
of them
agree.
had they have set up just one person there to say, "Okay, everybody, now is the official start time. Everybody, take off."
Yeah, even
you
like
know?
even like a local or something. But
Yeah.
they I mean, they had quite a staff to put it on. But the no host hotel thing was kind of a bummer, especially when you come to Vegas. Like, where are you going to stay when you come to Vegas?
Yeah. Good luck with that one.
And it's like, you're trying to get a hotel here, there, or
Fight
wherever.
weekend. I mean,
Well, it's not even that. I mean,
but-
but if you're out at the track, where are you staying?
Mm-hmm.
Where's a close place to the track? Because everybody's leaving from the track in the morning, which is like, you're not going to stay in the city, then drive all the way back out to the track just to turn around and go back.
You're 100% sure on the website there were no host hotels,
No,
nothing like
zero.
that. No?
Zero. Because I asked everybody, where's everybody staying? Like, wherever. Like, wherever.
Yeah.
They don't have like a host hotel? No. So we did that. I get home and I'm like, I'm not feeling 100%. And I told my buddy, I'm like, dude, tomorrow, and this is what I was looking at for Sunday. I thought, we're going to get up at 7. We're not going to drive to the track. We're going to stay off the side of the freeway until we start seeing a bunch of cars come through. And then we're going to team up with those cars because I'm not driving back 20 miles the opposite way in town just to turn around and come back. And so Brent and I were like, well, we'll wait off the side of the road. And then after a while, I started thinking, I said, I'm concerned about driving back to California on a Sunday morning from Vegas, which is
Nightmare.
usually crazy
Nightmare.
traffic. It's not a
It's
fun
a
road to
UFC
drive on.
weekend. There were games that weekend. All
Well,
kinds of stuff going on.
there's a lot of that stuff, and then going there to go to Pomona to get the plaque, just to turn around and come right back. Because
Yeah.
my buddy had to work on Monday because he owns his own business, but he's a dentist, so he can't, like, he's a one man show. So if he doesn't show up,
Yeah.
he loses business. So I was thinking, which was the main reason that I thought to take my truck down there, so that when I'm tired at the end of the day, I load my bus up and I drive back in air conditioned comfort in my
Heated comfort.
in my truck, and like listen to satellite, not listen to the engine, all that stuff. And so I just said, you know what, bro, I'm not feeling 8 hours of driving for 2 hours of enjoyment at the track tomorrow. Like, it's
And it was
not,
going to
'cause
be a
I'm
repeat
not-
of what you
I'm
were
not-
just
yeah.
saying.
And and what I saw Saturday and what I saw Friday, it was like, I wasn't super excited to do that, to go to, sit at Pomona and do
I
that.
totally understand that. When we stopped and had lunch and we were discussing, I said, you're going to be going back to California where there's potentially 4 to 5 hour stops with traffic sometimes. Like when we're coming back to Vegas on a Sunday from a car show weekend, you will drive by 5 to 10 miles of stopped cars, literally stopped cars. And anybody who's done that drive coming back on Sunday, a normal 3.5 to 4 hour drive can turn into an 8 hour to 6 hour drive easily.
And I looked online, and it looked like the drive went pretty effortlessly going back. But
Mm-hmm.
I was just dreading, like, doing all that to get home exhausted Sunday night, just to go back. And it wasn't like I was thinking, like, man, it's going to be so fun when I get there, because I was just like, it's not a lot to see. It's not like they got cool stuff going on. It's not like they had anything special happening where I'd have been like, oh, they've got a museum open, or I don't know. There was nothing advertised like that. So it was just like,
No itinerary, no like, hey, when we get there, these are the things. Nothing.
no, it's just get to the track. The track is open from this time to that time. The itinerary was leave Vegas at 7,
Mm-hmm.
stop at Peggy Sue's Diner to get your poker chip.
Mm-hmm.
That's the detour. And then go to Pomona, drag racing from 11 till 5. And that's it. That was the itinerary. So
And I tell you guys, if you saw the vendor row, I
was
mean,
pretty
I've seen
thin.
better vendor rows at a farmer's market.
yeah, it was pretty thin. And I was thinking with the name brand like Hot
Yeah,
Rod and all
Hot
that
Rod or
stuff,
Motor
I
Trend.
thought this is going to be great.
They
but
have their own TV station. Come on.
either way, I did it. And if they were going to do it like that again, I wouldn't do it. If they were going to do it where there's no back and forth, and it's like, if they went from here to Arizona to Vegas, whatever.
Just not the same drive back and forth.
Yeah,
that's,
just
that's
back
what's weak
and
sauce
forth
about
on
it. I get that.
the same freeway.
Totally.
It's just kind of like, it's just like, I don't need to be busy.
No.
I'm trying to have a good time, And it seemed like from what I hear, it was just kind of thrown together last minute.
That felt fun to get last minute, and I was only there for one day for an hour and a
Yeah.
half,
We were
and
there
it felt
probably
thrown
2 hours,
together
yeah.
last minute. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. So
And even as a spectator, like nothing. Like the stands were open, and that was about it. Like
So I got to do it, and now my thought is I'm looking more towards trying to do one of those in the Midwest somewhere,
I bet it's way funner.
where you're going to go through a lot of these towns. The magazine is doing one that's
Yeah,
going
but
to
you
be
gotta be
called.
fast for that one, huh? Like those
Well,
guys are fast.
Yeah, but okay, it's all relative. If you're running 8th mile, it's different. You can have a fast 8th mile car that's not so fast in the quarter. Especially for a Volkswagen,
Yeah.
because you're going through everything in the 8th, and they don't. Volkswagens get eat up on the back half of the quarter mile.
Mm-hmm.
In an 8th mile, you can be a 14-second car can be very competitive with a 12-second car, because that 12-second car makes it all up on the top end, on the back half of the track. That first 8th mile, a Volkswagen can be very, very competitive. So my thought is, part of the game plan to change is, I was saying that the magazine has one called Sick 66, and it's going to start in Missouri and end in New Mexico. Most of the Sick Week guys, what they like is theirs is a loop back to the same track, so that they can all drop their trailers at the first track and then do a loop and come back. But
I wonder if the track lets them keep their trailers, or probably does.
yeah,
They probably set that up like, hey, if you have a blah blah blah, you can set your trailer and everything up here, which
Yeah.
would be the right thing to do.
well,
They should have had that set up for all you guys.
at the track there were no trailers allowed.
Silly.
So
This sounds like a horrible.
because
drive.
it's
I'm glad we
a drive event, but it was an experience, and I wanted to do it, so I did it. My plan for another one that I would do, unless I had the bus turboed, which would be super fun. And I rebuild the front seat where it's much more like contoured and enjoyable to sit in. And I don't sit lurched
Just like
over
your
the
door
steering
panels,
wheel.
that seat's overstuffed.
And so, no, it just needs to be contoured. But the plan is to take the 1800cc motor. So I changed, as I'm driving my car, I'm making game plan changes. And I bought that compressor house kit to put on the 1600 in the limo bus. And now I decided that I'm going to put it inside, the chop top. I'm going to put the supercharger on the chop top. And I've got I want to put the Berg 5-speed in there. So that would be, because that motor, you put a supercharger in there, give another 40 horsepower to that motor, that'd be it's a quick little bug now.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a quick little bug in the 8th mile. With the Berg 5-speed, it'd be a freeway runner. Because right now it runs out of gear on the freeway. It's kind of annoying. And I think that car is super comfortable to drive because it's got the 86 Mustang seats in it. They sit real low, plenty of room. So that would be my car of choice to do anything Midwest. So that's my long-term goal on that. But all in all, I'm not really sorry that I did the power tour. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's kind of something that, I got the sticker. I did most of it. And if you take into consideration my drive from Vegas to Irwindale, I did the mileage. You know what I mean? So, but I don't think I missed anything huge on Sunday, unfortunately. So, but
It'd been different if your car was teched and you could have actually ran down Pomona like Adam was saying to get the experience, but you didn't. So
yeah, that was that. So next subject we're going to talk about is the letter.
So one crazy weekend is what we're going to discuss.
Yes. So
Do you want to read it?
we received a letter.
You got a problem talking. Let me do that.
I know. Yeah, read this. I don't know what's going on.
Jiminy
with me.
Christmas.
I don't know what's going on with me, bro. You brought something in here. We got rabbit hair on you, dude. I don't know what's going on, dude.
My rabbit's hypoallergenic. Dude, pass me that.
Is it though? Is it really?
I can stick my face in that rabbit and take a deep breath and not freak out. All right, so
I want to hear what you're sticking a face in a rabbit.
So this letter showed up, mailed to my shop, and addressed to Bill, and it's anonymous. Came out of Santa Ana, California, was the postmark on it. It's dated October 26, 2023, so this is a couple weeks after the show. And it reads as this. Bill, I am sending you this letter as I feel you would be open to feedback from the one crazy weekend you hosted. This letter will contain positive feedback and negative criticism. Please understand that this letter is not to tear you down in any way, but hopefully will make your next event host even more spectacular and enjoyable for everyone involved, especially the participants that travel and pay all the dues for each event. I would like to first start off by recognizing that you are a pillar in the Volkswagen community. Your contributions and knowledge to the expansion of the VW hobby is highly evident. Also, your podcast is one of a kind, and it's far-reaching and provides the uniqueness and behind the scenes of the VW hobby that everyday VW enthusiasts would never be able to experience. Lastly, your reputation not only in the VW community, but the automotive industry as a whole is second to none, and you have certainly earned that. With all that being said, I would like to provide you with my insight of what I witnessed and experienced over the entire One Crazy Weekend event. Being a fellow VW enthusiast and involved in the VW scene for over 35 years, I have hosted gatherings and have attended many shows and events that I am pulling my experiences from. Friday. To start off, traveling from California to VW with the entire family is crazy enough, but I would like to thank you. As we pulled into the Orleans mid-afternoon, you had a portion of the parking lot sectioned off for the entire weekend. This is one of the most positive observations of the entire event. We were able to leave our VWs in the parking lot unattended, knowing that your crew and security from the hotel had our VWs in good hands. I really found comfort in knowing while I was in my discounted hotel room, thank you, that my VW was safe and secure. No one would be messing with it. As everyone got settled in their rooms and was getting excited for the takeover cruise of Las Vegas Boulevard, communication was poor as to the time the cruise will take place. Even after the crowd made their way to the parking lot to receive directions of how the cruise will proceed, even those instructions were not clear. Keep in mind you have participants and visitors that have never been to Las Vegas before, and your instructions were not precise at times, given as if everyone in the crowd knows where each specific street is. I'm sorry, I read that incorrectly. I understand completely with all the construction and detours. This was during F1, by the way. I'm just going to add that myself. I understand completely with all the construction and detours because of the race that will be happening made it difficult, but it might be helpful to spend the time mapping out which directions everyone will be driving in advance, even maybe an alternate route for those VWs that get misdirected. These directions can be handed out on a piece of paper or even can be communicated on your website for everyone to access. I love the ideas of VWs invading Las Vegas and taking over the Strip, but at the end of the night, there was not a takeover or even organized cruise. It was every VW for themselves to find their way to the Strip and create their own cruise. The cruise event was built for the months and weeks leading up to it. Arriving back at the Orleans, the parking and placement of the VWs was unorganized. There were multiple people trying to place vehicles in a lot and just didn't have a clear plan of where to put everyone. I get it. Multiple cars arriving at various times, but entrances and exits should be clearly marked, and the people giving direction should be visibly by the same outfit, shirt, or something that displayed that they were the staff in charge. Saturday. I know this weekend was not just about the car show, as you voiced that over and over, but the process of collecting your car's registration was chaotic. You informed everyone that the person with the only computer that had the information has slept in and was not present. If that happens again, what is the backup plan? Another computer with all the information backed up on would be helpful. No clear lines where to stand while watching to collect your poster and registration. Pre-registered or non-pre-registered signs would be helpful. There were multiple tents set up, a ton of bodies hanging out in them, but no one acknowledging anyone, and you were the only one trying to keep order. I am here to tell you, you cannot do everything yourself. You have to train and rely on your team to help you. Watching you try to organize everything manually with zero help from your team was not only frustrating for you, but think about the hundreds of VW guests in line waiting, watching all of this unfold. Moving on to the People's Choice Award. You elected to use a QR code voting system that did not work. There was no clear direction to anyone how to use this voting system. All that anyone was told to hang it on the car. The wording about voting was too small, and regular people voting did not understand how the system worked. To use a system like this now and for future events, these directions must be given in advance so everyone can understand how to use it. Again, maybe dedicate a section of your website to this event and spell out everything for everyone. I love car shows and I enjoy viewing all the cars, but where was the music? Where was someone on the mic to keep the crowd excited? Where was the raffles to keep everyone engaged? And where was the 50-50, etc.? This was a parking lot filled with some incredible VWs and very hot sun, but no entertainment. Even smaller events that local VW clubs host have the basics of a car show. The top 20 awards had a lot to be desired. You had your brother go out and select the top 20. At the end of the day, it is what it is. But the cars that were selected had a few things in common. Either they were owned by people you are very close with, or have been built by the shop you are associated with, or that you and your brother have known for many years, or that VWs that flat out do not reflect your build style. Either way, I challenge you and your brother to be more open to selecting a more diverse group of vehicles during future events. I do agree that every vehicle chosen were well built and deserve all the credit, but I do not know that there were vehicles in there that were not chosen that should have easily been in the top 10. Oh, I'm sorry. I do know. He's saying that we didn't choose the proper vehicles. Moving on to the poker run. I have been looking forward to this event for years. I finally dragged my entire family, including my mother, to Vegas just for the event. I have mixed feelings about the execution of this event. The thought of the event is great, and the participation in the local VW performance shop is awesome. But after the car show, all participants were asked to be back at the parking lot, I think around 3:30 p.m. for the group assignments. What a disaster, and I mean that with as much respect as possible. I watched you try to organize and have the participants sign release forms and give out poker chips all by yourself while the group of people behind you just hung out and did not help at all. At minimum, all the shirts were extras, should have been bagged and ready to hand out as you called each participant. The waiver could have been signed online to speed up the process and just catch the few that did not pre-register in person. If I knew it was going to take you over 2 hours to get everything sorted out, I would have taken my family to swim for a while and then come back. Finally, after you got everyone to sign their release, you attempted to give group assignments to all the participants. You assigned a club member to each group and a club member to follow each group. That did not work. You also mentioned this is not a race. Just take your time and cruise around the valley to the locations. That was 100% impossible, considering the size of each group and the fact that the locations were not given to every participant. There was zero chance that everyone would be able to cruise and stay together, and without the locations of each stop, it made it impossible to have a safe, fun time. Speeding, running red lights, driving erratically had to happen to try and keep up with the group. If the locations were given out to each driver, it would have made the entire night of finding these locations a lot more enjoyable, and more of the group could have stayed together. Fortunate for our group, someone was able to get the address of each location and share it via text after we got the first location. Every participant must be armed with this information through text, paper, posted on the website the night of the poker run, something. Also, during one of our stops, the location ran out of Deck 2 cards. You made it very clear to only get cards from Deck 2 if that's what you were assigned. As I mentioned before, this is Vegas. How do you run out of something as simple as a deck of playing cards? I do think the end of the night is a cool setup and each participant gets to draw their last card, and thank you for the food that was provided. I thought long and hard about writing this letter. I asked my family and consulted with others that attended and some that didn't. They all thought I should write the letter in hopes that future events would be even better. Concerning the long drive from California and my perception of what I experienced from this event, I would like to come back in the future, but I am not completely confident that I will. I am being told when he first started hosting the event, it was amazing and organized well. As this event grew and became more popular over the years, there is a possibility that you did not grow with it and have failed in some areas. I have not decided if I will return for any future crazy weekends with my VW, but if I do, I hope there will be major adjustments on to how you deliver instructions and organize all aspects of this event. If I return and there are no charges, at least I know what to expect, or no changes, I know what to expect. I understand executing an epic event such as One Crazy Weekend is a huge undertaking, but please consider that there are families and car clubs, solo riders expecting to be immersed into an event that just blows everything else out of the water. That was just not the case. Thank you for your time.
Okay. All right. So so I made a bunch of notes as you were talking.
Yes.
So we'll just start at the beginning. But
So Friday is where he starts with his criticism.
first and foremost, there is no other event like this one. So I have to say that as far as VW events go,
And I'm going to say something too.
Go ahead.
Everything that was laid out in this letter,
Yeah,
we discussed day of as it was happening, like this needs to change for next year.
Correct.
We realized there were problems.
Absolutely.
We're not blind to this. We understand. We can feel the vibe of the crowd and everything like that. We knew exactly everything that was going wrong when it was going wrong, 100%. And there were some areas where things were not handled well.
Yeah. So Friday, the strip cruise. So what I'm going to do now, because F1 has signed a 10-year deal. So here's what's going to happen for next year's strip cruise. It cannot be what it's going to be is there will be a route handed out, and not really a route, but it'll say you can cruise. The least traffic is from this area to this area. If you'd like to cruise the entire strip, you may cruise from here to here, and here are multiple areas where you can pull off and head back. So I'll do like an overview map, but there's so many cars that cannot be organized without a police escort. And getting a police escort on a Friday night
During F1. Never going to happen.
Not going to happen. So, but I definitely did do that because what's funny, as much as he didn't like whatever it was and he wanted to be with a bunch of people, there were people that just broke off into groups by themselves and they had the greatest time. It was like one or two buddies together, which is part of the thing, right? A lot of people bring friends with them on these events. So they're one or two or multiple cars. And if it's two or three cars, they just love cruising the strip together. And a lot of people are just happy to be on the strip.
We knew leading up to this, the strip cruise was going to be a problem because of F1, because we live in town. So we realized how tore up the strip was. It's bottlenecked in about 5 areas to where they drop it down to 1 to 2 lanes. Right. And it's kind of a crap show. We had already committed because we've done it in previous years to do a strip cruise. And we knew we were going to have problems with that one. But yes, so we've already discussed in the future, we will have maps. There will be a route on a map that you can choose a long route, short route, and that's it. And leave it to the people to decide the way they're going to go and how they want to group it.
Correct. So the other thing that we're going to do is his next concern was the parking for the VWs when they got back to the hotel. So what we're going to do this next year is you'll get your wristband at the beginning, so that it's going to speed up the process of getting you back in the parking lot. There will be only one entrance.
And there was a problem also, the way that the Orleans had kind of roped it off, there were K-rails put in place that were easily moved, and people kept moving them and just bringing themselves in instead of we were trying to designate entry points, and people were bypassing entry points. Correct. And it was me and 2 other people.
And so the issue becomes when you have a potential 6 entry points and 3 people trying to guide cars in, and people are breaching these entry points. Because there's a lot of people that have been here multiple years in a row, they feel pretty comfortable just pulling up and moving a guardrail out of the way. And so we'll do 2 entrances to come in next time.
There'll be an entrance. No, there'll be one entrance and one exit. We already discussed there will be a flow, like a horseshoe flow through the entire parking lot.
Right.
And that's going to be it. And you will be designated a wristband on Thursday.
Yep.
You cannot bring your car in there if you don't have a wristband anymore.
Correct.
Because what was happening also is we kind of have our Friday as a meet and greet, and we had a lot of participants that actually weren't participants of the weekend. They weren't registered. They weren't. They were just there to hang.
They're also there for maybe just the poker run.
Yeah.
And so when you're not there for the car show area is designated for the people in the car show. So
so it's going to be a weekend wristband that people will get now. If they're a poker run participant, they still paid to do something in the event, they will get a wristband to come in.
Right.
Period. End of story.
Correct.
But from now on, if you do not have a wristband, you will not be entering our designated parking area for
car. Yeah.
That's going to simplify a lot of it, because we probably had 100 cars there that weren't part of they were just locals that came by to hang, and it made it kind of a crap show to park it. So we definitely knew there was a shortcoming there. And next year I will have an actual event staff, not just me and 2 kids helping me try to park 200 cars coming in,
Yeah.
It was a lot bigger than we were expecting. We had 70 pre-registrations, and on day of there were 200 something cars there.
Correct.
Like it went. We were shocked. I was shocked when I pulled up Friday and was like, "Wow, we got a full parking lot already!" Like, holy smokes!
Yeah.
Last year there were probably 30 cars there on Friday.
Yeah, it's been growing like gangbusters. And again, one thing to be crystal clear on is all of these issues we were discussing during the weekend,
100%,
because of the enormity of how quickly the event grew, and the event's only going to get bigger because of the amount of people that came to this event, which was over a few hundred people. I mean, you're figuring there was at least 400 to 500 people at this event. We got 1 letter. Yeah. Everybody else really had a great. But
what's funny is we discussed it as soon as I read this letter. So I said it's kind of funny because everything this guy brought up, we talked because it's me, my brother. We have a gentleman named Renee and a gentleman named Eric Black, and it's pretty much the 4 of us put this entire event on. We are like the pillars, let's call it, of that event, and we all sat down and had lunch and said, "These are problems we're finding. These are issues we're dealing with." We knew some of these things. So a lot of that stuff will be addressed. Saturday, the car show. We did have music playing. There was music playing.
Yeah, I've got it here. The first thing will be separate booths for pre-registration.
For sure, 100%.
And where that may change. Now, with respect, I'm not sure I understand what he's talking about with the computer thing, because I don't think there was an issue with what we were trying to do was get a Wi-Fi to get the printer to work. I had people that were pre-registered and loaded their car information before. We had all their stuff pre-printed and ready to go. So what we'll do, because there's the car show and the poker run, and you also have to remember, I give out a ton of crap with this thing. No show do you go to where you get a free t-shirt of this, of this, of this. And so it's like, some people pay for the poker run, some people pay for the car show. And then it's like, some people pay for both. And
we give spectators for free.
Correct.
My brother and I paid $25 a pop to walk into a car show two months ago. And I was floored. As spectators, we were paying $25 to walk into a car show. I said, this is ludicrous.
Yeah.
Our car show is $30.
Free for spectators.
Yeah, free for spectators, but $30 you're in the car show. You get to bring a car
unbelievably discounted.
Unbelievably. Okay, yeah, so Saturday there's something that
no.
As far as the registration goes, we know it needs work, and this year.
So this year the registration will be much cleaner. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's just going to be digital online once you're there, and we'll have all the pre-registration. There'll be a completely separate area for pre-registered people. And on-site registration people will get to wait in a separate line, because if you're going to register online, if you're going to register on site, you're just going to wait. There's no other way around it.
All right, and I need to address this. The judging. Yes.
Hold on, we're not there yet. We're not. Right, I wrote down everything in order. So
let's go.
I know
this is Saturday. We're on Saturday. So that's what I want to make sure of.
Correct. Calm down. You're fired up about the car show. Now, the QR code. Originally, when I brought up the idea of the QR code, the reason that I did it was because I want it to be truly a people's choice. Now, the instructions, there's really nothing needed other than grab your phone, point at the QR code, and vote for that car. It's literally that simple. I'll do a little YouTube video that I'll put on the website for the poker run or for the car show event. But it is literally that simple. You take the QR code, you snap it, and that's it. The problem was the participation. What you always have on People's Choice and things like that, where we were trying to derive the top 20, you have to have people's input. You have to get people, and you can only vote one time you can only vote once from one phone for one car. You can't vote 5 times for the same car, right? So you can't cheat the system. You can vote for multiple cars. You can vote for every single car that's got a QR code. There was no hassle with the voting. There's no hassle with any of that. It's just training people now to do that. So that'll be a new process with people to do that.
There'll be some signage explaining to spectators if they'd
And
like
I
to vote
believe-
for cars, they're more than welcome to with their QR codes.
And
we'll have signage for that.
And we'll remind people of that during the
Mm-hmm.
car show part. Again, the car show, with respect to the QR code, it's pretty simple. Music we had, raffle, because
We don't want to sit there and ask people for free stuff, so we don't want to do a raffle.
I'm not into the raffle.
Like, you got to organize a raffle.
mean,
Someone needs to be on that raffle for 2 months trying to get free product from people to give out. And man, we just don't want to do a raffle.
And so
we've already decided that we're not going to do a raffle. Sorry, guys, no raffle.
Yeah.
That's
so
it. My brother gives away 4,000, whatever the hell it works out to. We give away so much stinking money at this event. It's insane.
Again, so the thing with the raffle is like, that's another thing. I personally am not a big fan of raffles because I don't want to sit there and spend 50. Like, every time I do it to support the event.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, here's $20. Sometimes just hand somebody my tickets. And just the raffle thing, I'm not into a raffle thing. I'm not into begging vendors for free stuff. I'd rather have them support by giving us money so I could give more money away, because people would rather get money than, because every time, like, here's 20% off at CIP1. And it's like, well, what am I going to buy for CIP1?
Yeah.
Like, everything I already have everything that I need for my cars.
We're just not doing it.
Yeah.
We don't need to even talk about it anymore.
So there's
We're
not going to be a
doing
raffle, but there was music during the event.
Sometimes it would get shut with, like, things
Well,
happen. Our
it's a
generators
single,
would run
it's
out
a
of gas
single,
and,
it's a single PA music system, and the part of the problem is So to this particular person that wrote this letter, it never fails. As much as I know you said you have experience putting on events, doing all this stuff. I do a lot of events. I do a lot of everything. People, it's 50-50 with music. People love it or hate it.
Yep.
They hate being next to the speaker. They can't, because it has to be loud enough where every person can hear it, right? I'm not going to rent a $10,000 system so there's speakers every 5 feet so people can hear it at a low tone. It's like, it's not that important to me. There was background music there. It's so not about the car show.
Mm-mm.
The car show is just for people to,
sit around. You're with other
get
people, talk to other people,
correct.
like hang out with, with the VW
so
people.
Far as, like I said, as far as music with the system we have,
there was a guy there that had a big stereo system, and all I was getting was people walking up to me, can you get that guy to shut his music off? Because the problem is, not everybody has the same taste in music.
Correct. And
so,
we were playing music at the time, and he was drowning out our music.
He was drowning out our music. All right. So now we're on to where he talks about the top 20 awards. And yes, I am the judge. I went around and judged every car. I exclude every one of my Las Vegas Volkswagen Club fellow members. None of them are in the running. And let me tell you, there were a lot of top 20 cars sitting in that back row that didn't even get a vote on him because I'm associated with them.
Right.
Also,
let me pause for a second here. George is a little bit fired up because he feels a little bit attacked by this.
No, this guy, direct shots is what these are, and I'm replying to his direct shots.
I got it, but you got to remember.
I got more that goes with this.
No,
I've been thinking about this for months now,
so
you can let me go on this one. All right? What do you got? What do you got to interject?
I just said, take into consideration, he wanted to give constructive criticism. He enjoyed the event overall, some things he felt, but
I take offense to this,
do
100%.
No,
I take offense to this.
And I think your way of handling it.
All right.
Go ahead.
So when you look at that top 20 list, I don't know anybody except 3 cars on it. 3 cars. Everybody else was a complete and utter stranger to me. And I'm going to go over why these 3 cars were actually in the top 20.
Pause. You're replying to what line in there specifically? Because he makes a comment where George is associated with some of those cars in some way, shape, or form.
Either way, they're owned by people you are very close with or have been built by the shop you're associated with or that you and your brother have known for many years. Okay.
So pause there.
So I know exactly what he's referring to because...
Well, pause for 2 seconds. Let me just say for George is a huge stickler on making absolutely certain that no one would get that impression, that he doesn't want to be accused of that. He has cars that he's built that he has to tell them, sorry, you can't be in the show because I'm judging it. And so these people get a little bit upset, but George is really, this is why George is fired up, because he's a real stickler and trying to be
I'm going to explain
as
why.
fair as could be. Now go ahead.
So the quicksand bus I built won a top 20. I didn't even have it on my list. I did not have it on my list. And I had Buddy Hale and Andy the Paint both come up to me and say, that thing should be best of show. And I said, it can't be. I built it. It can't be. And they said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Put that car against anything out there besides Alex's car, and it would be hands down the best build out there. I heard that from Buddy freaking Hale himself.
I agree.
And they said, that'd be so stupid for that car not to get an award right now. And that's the only reason why that car made it onto that list. The only other car I knew on that was Lionel Mendoza, who has a super clean square back with a Subi conversion, and it's a dope car. And when I look at the cars, I'm looking at paint. I'm literally going around. His buddy Tristan's right next to him, debuting that bus. And I'm sorry, it had too much orange peel, and I just continued to walk on. That is how I was looking at cars. The only other car that won another award that I'm associated with was Spike's Choice. Once again, not on my top 20 list because I have worked on that car and I didn't even build it. I've just done mechanical work to it. So I excluded him from judging so I wouldn't get these exact comments like this guy put here in this letter. So I wish this guy hopefully one day comes up and says this stuff to my face, and it's not going to be a fair confrontation. So I can tell him, like, sir, there is no way that I would ever, because I know what he's talking about. We used to have a guy put on shows here that his own car won Best of Show that he built. That was a pile of junk, in my opinion. And it won Best of Show the same year I debuted my brother's oval window, which was on modified and detailed Fuchs and looked way cooler than it, and some piece of crap one that had store-bought wheels on it and all this junk. So I know what people feel when they see a show promoter's car winning an award. So
No.
The quicksand bus won an award because I had two of the best in the business telling me that would be robbery if that car doesn't win a top 20 because he wasn't even on my list when we discussed it.
And so part of the issue is, as the show continues to grow, we're going to get higher and higher caliber cars.
Correct.
There. A couple years ago, there was a guy that won previously that came up after. He says, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got an award. I must not have heard it. I'm the car number this."
Yep.
Well,
59 low light Gia.
He won 2 years ago or a year ago because the pool of cars was less, and with respect to caliber of cars, his was higher in that grouping. Well, now with what's coming out to the show now, the level of cars is continuing to grow. Now, in the same respect with style, we're talking about style. Last year, there was the car that was on the cover of VW Trends, Austin's car. That car's not my style.
Not mine either.
It's not your style either. But that car, I
he
tried
won a
to
top 20 award at our show because I went by and I looked at it, and even though it was like this faux patina, the level of detail that kid put into that car,
it was a
he
lot.
had his tunnel pinstriped, super clean. Just I was looking around going, wow, he's got a lot of freaking work in this thing, and I gave him a top 20 because I recognize what it takes to even do that fake patina, to put all the detail the gentleman had into it.
Yep.
And as you saw, it made the cover of a magazine. So it's not, I don't think I chose wrongly there.
No, so again, it's George is a real stickler, and which was the reason that I was, because it's a lot of work for George to do this, and George is, because he has a shop, because he's part of a club, there's always gonna be like, well, George does this. And the reason that George goes out and picks it, because we've had other club members go out and they're like your typical person that judges a show. This guy that wrote the letter might be the guy that's willing to put the 2 hours into a car show to walk through and really look at cars. The majority of people aren't.
I did.
But no.
Yeah,
What I'm saying is like
every car that was there, I went and looked at 100%.
But when in previous years we've enlisted other people to help, they give their list back, and you're like, how did you pick this car? You know what I mean? Like there's kind of like a little bit of that stuff that goes in there. And so when it's at a car show and you're there to be judged, because last year there's always somebody that's unhappy at a car show and feels that their car should have won an award. And not saying that that's this guy's complaint. He may have had a friend that had a car that was super nice, or a car that he thought was super nice. But the reality is, if you didn't place at a show and you really got an issue with it, maybe talk to the judge and say, hey, and don't come at it from like, hey, why didn't I get my trophy? Come at it from the standpoint of like, hey, I noticed I didn't place. Could you show me on my car some things that I can improve if your focus is winning shows? Now, me personally, I've never been a show guy. I mean, I go to shows to support the events.
Never been a trophy chaser.
I have numerous plaques and trophies of stuff, and they're sitting in a box, and it's not something I chase. Other than the first time I showed my bus, I really wanted my bus to take first at the VW Classic. I did that. After that,
when I was younger, I cared, and I don't care anymore.
But perfect example. I'll give you a perfect example of what this guy's complaint is about.
But hang on, I just want to say the best of show or Spike's pick was exactly that. Spike chose that. Andy the Paint chose that. I had no say in it. I even asked him, can you choose another car, dude? I'm associated with that car. And he said, no, mate, it's my choice.
Right.
And I said, you're correct. Okay, I'm cool with that. It's your choice.
Right.
So Spike's choice went to Mark Rollins, 57 oval window.
And he loved the paint on it, and that's why he got it. That's why
he chose it.
Yeah, he
loved
had
the
nothing,
paint on it. And it's got a big chip on the hood, like a big starred out hit thing from the inside. But it's what he loved. He loved the sparkle of it and all that stuff.
Yeah. So
every other car that was in that top 20, minus Lionel, and me and Lionel are like homies, but it's a clean car. And I was literally walking around cars, looking at the quality of paint, quality of interior, what your wheels look like, and some cars I walk by faster because I can see from a mile away. There's 10 chips right here. That door doesn't fit well, and I would just continue to walk on.
Again, now you're talking about showing a car. When you show a car, there's two ways to show a car. One is you're showing the car to park it with the other cars to be enjoyed by other people and supporting the event, or two, you're coming to hunt down a trophy.
Mm-hmm.
If you're coming to hunt down a trophy, your car should be on par.
On point.
Now, perfect example. This is my personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
2 times I had 2 cars debut at the DKP meet. Both times the clubs were fighting about my double cab and my Ghia. Now, my Ghia was on a completely different level than my double cab. My double cab, because of the uniqueness of the look, half the club wanted my double cab to win the award. It didn't win. Was I hurt? Was I mad? No, I didn't care. You know why? Because I said, it's a DKP thing. They kind of pick a cow look thing, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My car's the opposite of cow look. It's a German look bus. And then with my Type 34 Ghia, the car that won that year was not nicer than my Ghia, was not more polished, was not more plated, was not more chrome, was not more, there wasn't anything more rare on that car than what I had on my car. We could go toe for toe of what I did, but it didn't bother me. For me, I was more stoked about the fact that it caused a lot of contention with the group.
Yeah.
Because I was like, good, because it's good when those people push back a little bit, say, no, that car should win. And then even more gangster than that, when I pulled out of the parking lot, I freaking laid it sideways just to, while everybody else is white glove pushing their car back on the trailer.
Enough about Bill T. Let's go back to this list, because there's more beyond just the car show. He has complaints about the poker run too.
But my point is that what your intention is when you go to a car show, and if you're entering a show for a trophy, you need to look at your car objectively and stop being like, my car is cleaner than that because I've got an early bus or I've got this. The model of your car has nothing to do with the show quality of your vehicle.
I was literally looking at paint, engines, interior, like tearing cars apart. And when there was a sea of 200 and something cars there, and I had to pick the top 20 out of them.
Right, 10%.
And I think I got a pretty diverse group. Like I said, I was going off of quality of build,
right,
100%. And once again, I'm not even associated with Lionel, and he's one of the only people that I actually knew as far as like this gentleman.
Right, I mean, Lionel's an OG supporter of the event, but it's not like you guys are besties. Like,
no,
he's a down homie, but that's not the reason why his car was picked.
No.
Again, I know that I can vouch for the fact that you're a real stickler, and you got really fuming when you heard these comments because you go out of your way to make sure that it's not.
Integrity is
not
everything.
George's friends.
Exactly.
That get picked.
Integrity is everything. And I think shows lose integrity. Like if every car that won was a Vegas car, that would suck. Why would you even come from out of town again if you did it?
Correct.
Just because it's your homie's car you won?
Right.
No homies' cars were chosen in that award. And if anybody wants to put their car against that quicksand at another show that I have nothing to do with, have at it. You're going to lose. I can tell you that right now. That car is detailed from top to bottom. Yeah. Anybody that was in that parking lot, bring your car next to that thing And I'll show you why that thing won a top 20. Should have been a best of show once again. But like I said, I excluded it from my top 20 even because of the fact that I was associated with it. And had two of the best in the business not said something to me like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would that thing not win an award?
Right.
You know? And the fact, you know what? The owner brought it out. The owner's proud of that car. The owner brought it there.
Well, I got to say, I got to drive it.
Well, you did drive it. How did it drive, Bill?
It was fantastic.
Pretty
Bro,
nice,
I'm not going to lie. That car is so tight. Like, it just makes me crazy that the dude hasn't driven it. 'Cause I would drive the living crap out of that bus. That bus drives nice, stops nice, got good power. That bus is that I love that bus. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of the color. If it was my bus, for that bus, what I like about it being that color is it's a standout. You know that bus.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So for me, that's one of the things when you build a car and you want to be unique in a whole world of
colorway
of everything the same.
Carbon cab's unique because I've never seen another car do the carbon fiber effect on it. Nowadays they have wraps and all that stuff, but you're talking that was way pre-wrap or any of that stuff back then.
But so the next thing we get into the poker run. So one of the things, the poker run was everybody's supposed to meet out there at 5, and we were going to get on the road at 6, I think it was going to start at 5:30, and we ended up leaving at 6:30. So it took 1 hour past the time, and so people probably showed up at 4:30, and that was an absolute cluster. So that's going to be completely, that's going to be completely dialed in.
That will all be rectified next year. We will have systems in play. The poker run sheet is going to have every individual address on it, so no one is guessing where their next stop is. We mid poker run, my brother and I were talking and said that the sheets need to have the address on them next time. Like we understand that we made mistakes.
So what will happen is there will be on the backside of your actual poker card will be a map of the city with all 4 locations you're going to stop at,
and the
major
addresses.
Cross streets and the addresses, phone numbers, and they'll be labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. They will be in a clockwise fashion. And respectively, what group you're in. If you are group 2, group number 2 is your first destination. You go 2, 3, 4, 1. That's going to be clearly explained on the map. That's your way that you're going to go. So we've already kind of looked at that, and that will be done. And what we're going to be doing is during the car show, we will be pre-checking people in for all that stuff. Yeah. So that way, when it comes time for the poker run, the
pre-registration will be done differently next year. Like the separate line for pre-registration for just drive-in registration will be different. All of these items in this letter that were addressed, we felt the growing pains of it. We were not. We always want the show to be big. The problem is it got big so fast, and it is, like I said, there's 4 of us running it, and 2 of them have nothing to do with the car show and have nothing to do with the poker run. My brother puts on the poker run, and I put on the car show. And we're literally individuals doing a lot, and we will assign teams. We will have it much more organized.
So there'll be a video going up on the website that I'll do on YouTube on this is how you use Car Show Pro. You should get registered now. If you're going to come on Let's Talk Dubs Poker Run, get registered now on Car Show Pro. So once you're on there, I punch your name in. Because once you're in the Car Show Pro database, I punch in your name, you pull up, it automatically populates everything. You get a thing that says, hey, you're going to be in One Crazy Weekend's car show, and here's your deal. And it makes it super easy, and we print all that stuff in advance. So since this guy's run car shows before, he knows that the more people get, and here's what's going to happen with our event will get so locked in that if you're not pre-registered and all that stuff so many weeks in advance, you're not in.
Yeah, you're probably not going to get in the show.
So
because we don't want to move our location. That's one thing. Like we have a prime spot on the casino property, and we want to keep that. They've offered, like, if anybody's familiar, they do a show called Viva Las Vegas at the Orleans as well, and it's probably one of the largest car shows that takes place in Las Vegas. 1,000 cars easily entered into it with a big stage where bands play and everything like that. We're not trying to be that, and the problem is if we move to a bigger location on the property, then you lose all the convenience of what we actually have in our actual current location. The food courts inside, the gambling inside, the bars inside, all that stuff, the easy access to restrooms, all that stuff gets lost if we move away from where we're at now. So what our thought is, it's going to be quality over quantity. We leave it to the number that we have. If we do have to move anywhere, we'll figure that out at the time being. But right now, we want to stay in the same location because that's all we hear about is how great the location is where we're at. Because even after the events, people are hanging out in the parking lot. and its location in relation to the casino makes it a very easy hang and right next to your hotel rooms and everything else. So it will be quality over quantity. We're not looking for the show to blow up. We just want, I would say, a better quality of car. If they're really going to be competing for that top 20, recognize that and step up to the plate.
Yeah, in the just specifically for the show part, because but the overall, you know, it's not going to be limited to, because for the show thing, we're going to get so many good caliber cars that the show part will be kind of tightened in a little bit, and then the other cars will be able to be parking within that group, within that area adjacent to the car show thing, because as more people want to get to be in this car show, we're going to have to kind of parse some things out like that. But we definitely want all people to bring all cars, because
Correct.
It is a driving event. It's not really.
The car show is one aspect of it. The cruises, the poker run. I'm sorry, but there were some mess ups on the poker run, and a couple, and I'm going to say 15%, and that's probably shooting way too high, of the people were upset by the time they got to my shop, because my shop is one of the stops.
Right.
But the majority of people, even with the problems, like, oh, it was a little hard to find this place, where they're laughing, they're having a good time,
Right.
They're with their group, you know, and spirits are high. They're coming in. I'm cracking jokes with them. We're giving them free poker chips. I'm giving them free bottles of water. We had In-N-Out burgers there. We had all kinds of stuff going on at the shop that people were having a great time. All I heard from Nevada Off-Road Buggy is, oh, people are having a blast. There was some confusion here and there, but oh man, everybody's having a good time.
And unfortunately, sometimes here's the number one problem with all of these things: you have human beings involved.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime there's a human being involved, someone will make. For example, 2 groups showed up at one location at one time, and that's because a human being that was in charge of a group, instead of going to his first destination, thought it's more convenient if I go here first for me personally, and which threw a wrench in the situation. And then at the other stop where they ran out of cards, someone didn't understand the process, because it may have gotten handed off to somebody else and someone got confused. And that's what happened with the card issue. But for the most part, when you have an event with so many moving parts and so spread out, it's almost impossible to not have an issue. Now, we're trying to handle the ones that we can handle. With respect to the strip cruise, it's like herding cats, and that's why I'm just not going to.
The strip cruise we're going to do. We're doing
people
are getting the option to do a short or a long. That's going to be for sure, and both routes will be on.
But my
leaflet that's
my
given out.
point that the problem is, I'm going to give it to people where they have their own option. They can cruise with the group or get their own on-ramp. I'll show ways you can get on the strip and ways you can get off the strip. And then I'll put maybe a couple spots where we may have some people park. In case you're having issues, you get lost, make it to this parking lot at this hotel, and there'll be somebody there that will leave at 9:00 to come back to the hotel. You know what I mean? Like, there might be, we'll add that element to there, because some people just like to cruise back and forth. You know, we're local, so like we get on the strip and we just want to get off the strip. But that the reason we take people there is because that's a spot that people want to get
It's iconic.
to. Like, so
you drive down that strip, you're going to see places you've seen in TV shows. Like, oh my God, I remember that. Oh, I saw that.
Again, this weekend is about the experience. Some of the things with respect to the time. So a perfect example, giving out the poker cards and stuff earlier. So I give you your poker card. You have your chance to win $1,500. You lose your poker card before the event starts. What now? Now there's 20 people that lost their cards or can't find them because they left them in the room or whatever the case is. And now what? Now I got to stop, which is one of the reasons why we hold on to those, because that's your ticket to make money. Now, if you lose it, you're screwed. You know what I mean? But it's like, anytime you involve, like, here, take this and bring this back in 3 hours, you know, you're going to get 1 out of 10 people lose them, you know, or they forgot it in their car, or their cousin's in the bathroom, whatever. And then it just creates a bit of an ordeal. So now I have an opportunity for duplicate cards to be out there, people getting cards that shouldn't have cards. You know what I mean? Like there's just, it's open-ended. And when there's money on the line, it's got to be governed a little tighter. The big thing was the disclaimers to be signed, but we'll be doing the disclaimers online. And then once the disclaimers are situated online, then I'm not worried about it. And it's all up to you. But I've done poker runs where it's like, Here's the stops.
Yeah.
You have 4 hours to get to all the stops.
Yeah.
Go any way you want to go.
I don't remember like I did the Buses by the Bridge when they used to do a poker run when you showed up on Thursday. I don't remember signing anything.
Yeah.
And we were stopping at bars.
Yeah.
You know.
I hear you.
So I mean,
I hear you.
we try to make it as official and as fair and as safe as possible is all we're trying to do. And there's going to be, once again, we got one letter back out of probably 600 people who enjoyed the weekend. I'm
Yeah,
gonna say
four to 600 people at least, because
yeah,
based on
nobody came by themselves.
Yeah, no, based on the event, the room nights, and again, it's gonna grow bigger this next year, and you know
we got great room rates: 40
$40,
90, 90.
Yeah.
That is insane. 40 Wednesday, 40 Thursday,
Yep.
90 Friday, 90 Saturday.
That's cheap.
That is insane. You will have in all your weekend what we will spend, and that's a 4-day weekend, what we will spend for a room in California.
Yeah.
Period. End of story.
Yeah,
And they're
what we
beautiful
paid,
rooms.
we
I
went to
stayed there.
Sacramento and we stayed at a 50-year-old Hilton
Oh,
in Sacramento. and it
260,
No,
something.
it was almost $500. I think it was for that night that we stayed at that hotel at Dunkel. Yeah,
Oh my God.
it was like 380. Then the
Yeah.
tax and the this and it was just it was and it wasn't even like, well, we're staying there. It'd be one thing if the hotel rates were higher, people would still pay them because everybody's there. That's what makes the weekend. So it's a bigger part of that.
We try to make it affordable. Like we want the families to come out. I hope this gentleman comes out again next year and brings his family because, in my opinion, it's a pretty affordable weekend.
It's
Like when you look at
It's
it and in the bigger picture things, you get to do VW stuff. Your room's only gonna cost you less than $300 for the whole weekend, and the show is only $30.
Yeah.
And the poker run where you got a chance to, you're not going to win your room back, but a bunch of other money if you actually won the poker run. It seems like a good deal to me. If
Yeah.
I wasn't part of it, I'd be doing it.
I'm
I'm pissed I can't do the poker
Okay,
run.
I am
My wife
too.
wants to do. I said, babe, you can't do the
Yeah,
poker
he
run.
wouldn't even George. This is what a stickler George is. George wouldn't even let his wife do it because if
She's
she
got a
won,
Volkswagen?
people would
we'd
say
never hear of
she won. But you know, I think you should let her do it because it's bullcrap. Because there's no way you can rig something that's 4 different.
Dude, we got a
stops.
letter because quicksand bus run. I don't even want to see if my wife won $1,500. People would be like, "Oh, I knew it. I knew this was a sideways show." Like,
Yeah. I mean, but you think about that, right? For the expense and the hassle and everything that for the 4-page letter, 3 or 4-page letter we got here.
I do appreciate the gentleman writing the letter because we know there were problems.
No, we like
We
getting
know
feedback.
there were things. I just want to defend the fact that I do not make.
Hold on.
I do not do personal
I just want
favors for
this
people
is
for
this
awards.
is what
And
I
none of my friends are trophy chasers anyway. So.
This is what I need to have answered to me right now.
Hmm.
What other event has strip cruise on a world famous location,
Mm-hmm.
has a meet and greet and hangout at an unbelievably affordable hotel,
Mm-hmm.
gives you T-shirts,
And security
souvenirs,
watching over your cars.
Security.
When have we ever gone to a car show where they watch
hold
over
on,
our cars?
hold on. Free I'm just listening to things. Free trailer parking for your trailers and all that
Yep.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Every hotel I stay in California is $35 a night
Easily.
or $20 a night for
For a car.
parking. That's for my car, and
Yeah.
I got to pay for a spot for my
Double.
trailer too.
So there's 60 for the
Just
trailer.
that.
Truck and
Not only all that stuff that we give you, but have it at a venue that you have a movie theater, bowling alley, you have everything on property
To entertain your family.
to
Yeah.
entertain your family,
And gambling.
unbelievably cheap, and then get a chance to win. Not only do you pay most places you pay $50 and that's it, you get a stamp and a handshake. You know what I mean? Like you get a T-shirt, you get poker chips, you get all kind of souvenir stuff. You get all these things. There is no other event that does all that for you, period. There isn't one. I have not been to a car show. Bro, we just talked about the Motor Trend thing. I paid $200 to do the power
Yeah.
tour.
And you get a
I
t-shirt.
got no discount for a hotel. The hotel was $200 for the night.
Yeah.
So I paid $200 for that. I didn't get a T-shirt. I got
Didn't get a sticker.
I got a bumper sticker, but I didn't get the official
You didn't
decal
get
for
the window
I didn't get the
decal.
window
Come on,
decal.
guys.
That was $200. And you want to talk about, and I'm small time Bill. This was Motor Trend magazine and they didn't have anybody there to launch everybody off. So, it is what it is. And this guy, since he's done shows before, he knows there's one true fact with every show. You can never make everybody happy.
Oh, that's for sure.
It's never going to be happy. But trust me, we have already discussed all these things before we received your letter. There was already a plan to fix these issues because of the rapid ramp up in participation. and we're looking forward to bigger.
And
and
also,
better for
Bill
next
tried
year.
to try something new with the Car Show Pro. You know, it was so we could allow the participants and the people to vote on a car. And here's the funny thing: the one that actually won the People's Choice,
Yep.
once again, wasn't in my top 20, and it was a yellow Manx that was clean.
Manxter.
It was a Manxter,
with the Subi motor.
and it was somebody that apparently
He
he was probably telling people, like,
knew
hey,
to
if
tell
you
everybody,
want to judge for my car, if you just hit that QR code right
you
there,
vote for my car.
you could vote for my car. And they're like, oh, and people probably felt obligated and clicked
he-
on it.
and here's
he played the game right.
here's the reality. And if you want to win that People's Choice,
Get yourself
thing,
some sparklers, get yourself some girls spinning batons, and let everybody know. Like, if you hit that QR code right there on my car, and then you too could get an award.
yeah. So, I mean, there's all kinds of.
And thank you to the gentleman who wrote that letter. We appreciate feedback, good or bad.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of good to say. He really praised Bill in the beginning of it. That's cool. I just took offense to the saying that our friends and people associated with my shop and stuff like that, there's literally one car in there.
Yeah,
the
George
Quicksand
took
bus.
that to heart, man.
I
Because he
did.
goes out of his way. I
that
mean,
bugged me.
he won't even
It's-
let his wife run the poker run. She should run the poker run.
No, she shouldn't.
She should.
You guys tell us if she should run that poker run. You
Yeah,
let Bill know
you
in the
guys-
comments, emails, whatever. Would you be cool if someone with the last name Sagrinos won that freaking 15? I know I'd be heated if I went to a
wouldn't
place
be.
and the person that put on their wife won. And she's up there accepting money like, woo! You'd be like,
I
oh, this is
wouldn't-
rigged.
I
This
wouldn't.
is rigged.
I wouldn't because it's too hard. It's too hard to rig something like that. And I don't know. I mean, I see your point because we've seen that stuff in the past, and I've had issues with.
I love my wife and I want her to win $1,500, just not here now. I don't want her to do it at that show because, once again, integrity is everything. And when we're giving away money and giving away trophies or whatever it is, integrity is everything. And I want people to know that if you bring your car there, I am judging your car. And I think maybe I will step away from that and have to see about getting other people to judge it or something like that, because I don't want that stigma that my homies win. Like, to me, that's not cool.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I know that, like, again, I knew it was going to strike a nerve with you because you really make it a point to go out of your way to make sure that you do not, that no one can, just again, like we talk about, like with what your wife says, or with your wife not being able to
Do the poker run.
to do the poker run, so, but,
Guys, we are always going to try and give you a really cool and really fun event. And there's no shadiness. There's no backhandedness. None of that stuff going on. We want everybody to have a blast. That's all we want. So come out October 3rd through the 5th, 2024 in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. We'll be kicking off one crazy weekend. And we're going to try and add a couple more events during it because obviously the 3rd through the 5th, we're talking about Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Bill and I are trying to figure out a couple more things that we can add to the mix. Bill really needs to get on the ball because he loves last minute stuff. He'll be doing it the week before the show, trying to get this stuff lined up. And I'm going to try and make sure that we have this stuff dialed in months before the show takes place, that we are ready to rock and you guys have a great time when you come out here. So make your plans now, book your rooms. You see at the end of every one of my videos that I'm telling you guys, this show is a great time and you need to be out there when we do it. So
right. So make sure that you guys, don't forget to go subscribe to George's YouTube channel. So he just broke the threshold to.
I broke 1,000. I'm at 1,030 right now.
Right.
Boom.
So he got, and George puts a lot of effort and content that he does out there, making sure that he's got some really good stuff on there. Because we watch people's videos on how to do stuff, and we've tried to think to ourselves, like, how could you make that better? Because either the filming sucks, the detail sucks, they don't go over some stuff, and George puts his heart and soul in that. So make sure you go subscribe to George's YouTube channel.
I'd appreciate it.
And it's The Wagon on YouTube. So if you search The Wagon.
Try to make my videos better. I tell you what, I was at Off-Road Buggy, and God bless Off-Road Buggy because they're always rocking my videos in there. And one of my early videos was on there, and it was driving me insane to watch it because if you notice my videos, there's really not a lot of dead time, if I'm going to call that.
Right.
I clip, literally, if I pause my sentence, I clip it out of there, because I appreciate everybody who watches the videos. Your time is valuable, and I don't want to waste a second of it. So go to The Wagon on YouTube, _wagon on YouTube. Go subscribe. Check out some of the videos. Hopefully I got something on there that you're about to do to your Volkswagen, and I can talk you through it.
No, perfect. So I wanted to give a shout out to someone just reviewed the podcast this last Tuesday, and that's Roseville, and it says, a must listen if you are a fan of George T's brothers' cars, or if you like to hear stories about Or if you'd like to hear stories about Bill T running out of gas, some serious and not so serious air-cooled VW discussions and interviews with folks that have been there, are there, and will be there in the VW hobby. Thanks, Bill, for educating and entertaining. So that's Rose Villain, and gave us a 5-star review. So completely and totally appreciate that. You guys want to get a shout out, make sure you give us a 5-star review. Man, I got this stupid cough.
Yeah, you
It's
do.
tickling my throat, bro. So shout out to my guy Rose Villain. George, anything you want to touch base on before we wrap up over here?
I think we got it covered. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and be safe out there.
Yeah, we didn't even have time to do a year in review because we over-explained everything again on this podcast.
Oh, that
but
poker tour
we'll
or
the
the power tour.
yeah, the power tour kind of soaked up some
Yeah, it
time. But it's good to get people to. There's a lot of people going to be. There's a group in the Midwest that does the Sick Week, and they run. There's like 5 guys that run Volkswagens. Chuck Fryer, Prescott Phillips, who's on the podcast, and some of those guys, the Beer Panzer guys, they run that Sick Week. And these guys are running 11-second street bugs, and they run them, they drive them, they do all that stuff. And I'm going to have them coming on the podcast here soon. But I encourage you guys in your Volkswagens, man, to get involved in some of these things, especially the Power Tour, because it's not really about speed or performance, but it's more about the hangout. But it'd be super cool if a lot more VWs were involved in it.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that I did it instead of talking about it, trying to be about it. So who knows? Maybe I inspired somebody else to do it, because when I saw AJ and those guys, AJ and Anton doing that Death Weekend, inspired me to do it. So that's how we get there, guys, by inspire each other and go out. And if you don't see enough of these over there, go be one of those over there and and get involved in it.
Don't talk about it, do it.
That's it. So I appreciate everything, guys. Go follow, go give me a subscribe on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to share the podcast. Make sure you guys share this, because I love when you share the podcast, and it helps us grow organically. And for me, that's one of my favorite things, is that people are able to hear the podcast, get some information they didn't know. And if you've got some topics of interest you'd like to hear about, hit me up at Bill at Let's Talk Dubs, and let me know any people that you'd like to have me interview. I've got some people slated coming on here the next little bit, some old school, some new school, a lot of different people from different walks of life, and I'm looking forward to bringing those out to you. So until next week, guys, later.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen.